What is up, guys? Silver Warrior here, and today I wanted to discuss how will the cannabis market be affected under Donald Trump's presidency, and I want to discuss both how recreational and medical cannabis will, either suffer or benefit from him being president. So let's get right into this video, okay? Now, first let's talk about medical. Medical cannabis, from what I can tell, from everything he said, he entirely supports medicinal cannabis. He said in multiple interviews, that he supported it. He's always said that, pretty much. He said, I think, for one interview to the Washington Post on October 29th of 2015, he said, in terms of marijuana and legalization, I think that should be a state issue, state by state. Marijuana is such a big thing. I think medical should happen, right? Don't we agree? I think so. And then I really believe we should leave it up to the states. Now, in another interview, let's say this one is very convincing. He said to C-SPAN on June 23rd of 2015, he said medical marijuana is another thing, referring first to as well as recreational cannabis. But he said medical marijuana is another thing, but I think it's bad and I feel strongly about it. Saying regulating marijuana in terms of recreational is bad. But then he said, because the moderator asked, what about the states' right aspect of it? And he said if they vote for it, they vote for it, but I think medical marijuana, 100%. So, honestly, his stance on medicinal cannabis is that it should be there. He said before that he knows people who have been helped by it themselves, people who have really benefited from medicinal cannabis. He's a very strong supporter of it. Now, in 1990, in an interview with Miami Herald on April 14th, 1990, 6 days before perfect day for an interview like this, he said, "We are losing badly the war on drugs. You have to legalize drugs to win that war. You have to take away the profit from these drug czars." Now, I probably didn't even pronounce that word right, so I'm sorry for that. But basically what he was saying there is that this is probably, I don't want to misconstrue it, but that said, basically, he was, going out and saying, well, we should just be legalizing drugs. Now, this was 26 years ago, remember. People can change in a quarter of a century, but at the same time, he did say at one point that he supported the legalization of drugs overall, just in general. Now, that's something kind of at the time you think, well, Donald Trump saying that, he's kind of a ridiculous guy anyway. But now he's kind of flip-flopped on his stance on recreational drugs, especially, or even cannabis, as mild as that is. He said that now that he's against it and he doesn't really agree with it. However, here's the key point, is that he also believes that it's up to the states to decide, more so than the president. So what I think is going to happen is medicinal cannabis, I think he's going to try to push, if anything. Either he'll just kind of let it sit the way it is, or even push it just because he thinks it's such a beneficial thing. He'll probably be, under his presidency, it'll probably be rescheduled from Schedule 1 to maybe Schedule 2. I don't know, because there's been rumors about that happening before, but that turned out to be fake. That turned out to be a big hoax. However, if he is basically saying that, yes, this is has medicinal benefit, and Schedule 1 means that the drug has no medicinal benefit, which multiple drugs on there do, including cannabis as well as ecstasy, both have medicinal benefits to them, but that's beside the point. But if he's basically saying, yes, there is medicinal benefit to this, I think that we could see a rescheduling of cannabis, which I think would definitely help the market. And I think medical cannabis as a whole is going to be pushed just as strongly as it was under Obama. Now, it being federally legal in terms of recreational, I don't see happening very easily under him. Now, if it were to get to a point where pretty much every state had recreational cannabis and it was really becoming more of a burden to try to regulate it federally, it was still illegal federally, but nothing was really happening, maybe it would just become either an obsolete law that nobody really followed, or maybe it'd even be something that he considered changing. Big thing you have to remember is that he probably does realize that the both recreational and medicinal cannabis world, especially recreational, would be able to raise a lot of tax money to help him with what he's trying to do. And if it's only legal in the states, then the way it works is that the state is the one getting the tax money. But if it's federally legal as well, then it will be taxed federally as well as stately. The federal government can tax it because they're saying, oh, well, this is legal now. This is just like anything else is being legally sold. And then really what's going to happen is at that point, it's not going to matter. It's going to be legal. Even if he says maybe not legalizing is not the best thing, he'll realize, and he already has realized, that there's really nothing you can do. Once the states want to legalize it, they want to legalize it. It's up on the ballots every year in pretty much every state. So I really do think that, if anything, medical cannabis will actually be helped under his presidency, and I think that recreational really won't be ruined. A lot of people are, in that type of market are kind of worried that he'll try to ruin it. I really don't think so. I really think that he's kind of going to leave it be in terms of the states. I think he really is the type of person to believe in the states having a lot of power as well. He definitely seems like the type of guy who likes to go back to the Constitution, and when he was talking about taxes, he mentioned how the original Constitution never had anything about the income tax, which I personally know already that William Howard Taft was the one that introduced the income tax, because that was pretty much the one thing that he did that was progressive, was introducing the income tax. Pretty much everything else, and he did ensue pushing some further trust busting as well, but he was the type of guy who really was kind of laid back about his presidency. But anyway, it's kind of beside the point. But so that wasn't introduced until the 1900s. Kind of the point of me bringing that up is that if you know who President Taft was, then you'll know that was only around 100 years ago. So he definitely seems like the type of guy that likes to go back to the Constitution. And one of the big things that was going on early in the U.S. was giving the states a lot of power, and the federal government had very little power. So I definitely see him leaving it up to the states more so than trying to regulate it himself. But that's just my thoughts on what's going to happen. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on medicinal cannabis as a whole. And other than that, that is it for this one. I hope you enjoyed. Peace, love, and much respect.